Hey y'all, and good early morning. And Rupert says good morning too. So today we're here on my dad's farm, Cedar Lake Farm in Butler, Georgia, and he is going to take us on a behind the scenes tour of his whole farm. So we can't wait to share that with you. All right guys, so let's go. Good morning, Rupert. I know, good morning. Oh goodness. What's going on, buddy?
Oh, yeah. He's really talking.
Yeah.
You ready to eat?
That's what he wants. Huh? You want to go feed him?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. Good morning, Bradley. Bradley's so happy, too. She's so happy, too.
Come on, bro. Come on, Rupert. Oh, the cows are ready. Everybody's ready this morning. Yeah, you ready, ain't you, buddy? Oh, yeah, you want to get yours first. Yeah, you want to get yours first. Everybody's ready. Come here, Roop. Come here, Roop. Here you go. Good morning, Red. Mabel and Molly, move y'all's heads. Good morning, goats. Good morning. There we go. Out the window we go. Out the window. Out the window.
Why is he getting up in there? Look at him in there.
It's amazing how quiet they get after I feed them.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody shuts up. Rupert loves his food.
Mm-hmm. They're all really hungry. They're starving.
Good
Look
morning.
how fat they are.
Good morning, Red. Good morning, Red. How you doing this morning, Red? Yeah. Yeah, you know I love you. Yeah. Yeah. He's got used to me scratching him now.
Mm-hmm.
The other two hadn't really got used to it that good. That one has, but that one definitely not. She's skittish. She said like,
no,
I ain't gonna let you touch me.
No, thank you.
Anyway. Okay, right. We got everything fed, so you know, they don't need to wait on us too long. They get upset and it gets them out of a pattern. Yeah. I like them to have a pattern where they come up each day. That way I can check on them. That way I can see what everybody's doing, see how everybody looks.
Make sure nobody's had a baby.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So they're looking good. Yeah. Yeah, and they're looking good. It's all right, Rupert. It's all right. Well, let's go get on the four-wheeler.
All right, let's go.
Sit. Sit. Sit down.
She ready to go? You ready to go, Bradley?
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
Okay. Okay, guys, so we're at the top of the driveway right now, and Dad is going to take us on a little tour of the farm. And so can you kind of tell us when you and Mama got this farm?
We started looking for the property in '95. We had a sod farm, a 40-acre sod farm up in Newton County on the Yellow River. And so we started looking then. Rockdale County wanted to buy the farm, and we knew that we were going to have the '96 Olympics, and I was going to have some time off, and we did the sod farm in my spare time, whatever spare time I had. Anyway, and so we decided we're going to go ahead and sell it. So we had to do some kind of like and kind or exchange in between one piece of property and another. So we looked for different properties, and we came up on this property. We come in here on one afternoon, and I think the realtor had us set up because he knew that coming in here in the afternoon, we'd see deer and we'd see ducks, and we'd be able to see the sunset, and knew that it was a beautiful place. So we didn't own the first part of the property. The driveway actually came in way up there on the old road. And so later on, we were able to purchase about 3 acres right here. And that would, and when we built the house, I had enough dirt out of the basement that I brought the dirt up here and made us a nice driveway coming into the farm. So that worked out real well. I had a place to put the dirt, and it really perfected a nice, pretty wide driveway. And over the years, my grass, the centipede, has taken hold and really turned it into a nice little glade. What I would call a glade is you drive down the driveway and see the grass on either side.
You want to drive them maybe towards the lake first?
Yeah, we'll go down there towards the lake.
Okay, so we're here at the pond.
Yeah.
Briley's going to get out.
Yeah, she's got to check out and see if anything's been around. Well, what's going on here is I always envisioned a place with a nice pond and everything. So when we came into the house site up here, there was a mobile home up here at the time, and we come into the house site, and we were up there on top of the hill and seen the real pretty lake. And so that kind of really captured our image of what we were looking for. And so later on, I came in and built a dock down here. In fact, I built that dock in '96. My youngest son and I, we built the dock, and then we built the little shed down here. And I've used it to store my canoes in, but also I use it if I have a surplus of wood and stuff from my sawmill. I store wood in there. And
how many acres is your pond?
It's about 10 acres if you do it. I have a program on my phone that you can do a sketch of the pond, and it acres out at about 10 acres. I've actually got 2 ponds. There's another one that's 1.5 acres.
And what kind of fish are in there?
Bass, brim, and catfish. And so we've tried to control the weeds with grass carp, and they've got a little bit old now. I need to replace them. I need to put some more grass carp in here.
Yeah, and they'll eat all the grass.
Right, they'll help eat most of the grass and everything. So, Briley, let's load up.
And this is spring fed?
Yeah, it's spring fed. And
you want to head up maybe that way?
We're going to go out across the dam now.
All right, let's go across the dam.
The pond here, it actually has 2 feeds. The main feed is coming up there on the left. And yeah, that after this creek, after this, if water comes out of this pond here, it turns into Beaver Creek. We're at the head of Beaver Creek. And then on the right-hand side, there's another feed coming in. My neighbor has a pond above it. And so we have 2 feeds on this pond. It doesn't have very seldom does it drop very much. It stays pretty stable on the depth, how deep it is.
That's where we were at before when we were sitting over there.
Yeah. And it's
pretty clear too.
Right at the maximum depth is out there in the middle, and it's about 14 foot, and that's where the old creek bed is. And so it and most of the lake is pretty deep, except right around the edges. It goes from nothing all the way out to about 4 foot in the first 6 feet. So that's the way it's
pretty deep.
Yep, it's pretty deep. So we're gonna move on over here.
Go up the hill.
Yep, we're gonna go up the hill.
Okay, so on farms, you always have different names for different sections. So what do you call this section?
The power line section.
Power line section. See the power line?
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, we got, this is the power line field. I've got a friend of mine who, he cuts the hay off of this. We had, if you've seen it earlier this spring, this was in crimson clover, all in crimson clover here. And so clover is a natural fertilizer. It helps fertilize. So with the rain that we've got lately, he'll be able to get a nice cutting of hay, and we do some shares on it, and I'll be able to keep some of my shares of the hay to feed my animals this fall. And so the field way down at the end down there, I'm about to bush hog it and get ready to sow it and have a fall crop down there for a feed plot for the deer anyway. And so also it's going to have clover, and that'll kind of rejuvenate it and get it in good shape for the winter.
Okay.
And so we'll move on.
Move on.
So what I did was, this year I had a giant mulch pile here, and we moved that mulch pile to the garden. We moved it all. It was I think 15 or 16 dump truck loads. Ooh. And moved it to the garden. Then I came back and I sowed all this in chufa. If you'll see here, I'll pull up one. This plant called chufa. Anyway, it has a nodule on it here. If you look, it's kind of like a peanut. And this chufa seed is what attracts turkey. Oh. And so what happens is, these chufa plants here will produce lots and lots of the seeds, and this will provide nutrient for the turkey during the wintertime. They'll start here in November and December, in the cold, wet time of year, and they'll start scratching this chufa. And this whole area will look like a chicken yard where the turkeys have been out here. And the chufas, it's a
pretty big, isn't it?
It's a pretty big little seed.
It's bigger than a peanut.
Yeah, it's bigger than it's like about like a peanut.
Look at that. And
has a very sweet, if you wash one off and eat it, has a very sweet contents. It's kind of sweet, and so it's a very good attractor for chufa. But also, if you've got this and you've got wild pigs, this would be all tore up. I don't have any pigs. Now, sometimes raccoons will start trying to dig this up, but right now I've not had any problem with them. But wild pigs, they devastate it. Anybody that's got wild pigs, it's very hard to ever plant chufa. So, but it's done a great job.
Yeah, it's growing good.
It's really come up real good. So I'm looking forward to that, to be able to. I came up the other day and there was 17 a hen. Well, there was really 2 hens, and there were 17 poults with them. Oh. So they had a bunch of little babies. So we'll move on to another place. That's the cemetery tree. look there, and you can see the little tombstone, and it's got the different animals that we've had that's lived here on the farm. And anyway, so
It's called the old oak tree.
the old oak tree, because I imagine that oak tree is probably 150 years old. It's a post oak, and they do not grow very fast in this sandy soil. And to be that big, it's old. So anyway, it's a
little pet cemetery.
Yeah, pet cemetery. This field here is about 8 acres, 8 to 10, and we've got a deer stand over here on the left-hand side, and we put this into a big food plot. We make a big food plot up here, and it's fallow right now. And I'll bring a harrow up here one day, and I'll harrow all this up and get it ready to plant in September. We'll plant this in September. And you see we got a good set of pine trees back here. Nice pine grove. I've had it thinned twice. And my forester that I work with, he said we could probably thin it one more time before we clear cut it. And so anyway, it's really produced since they thinned it. It's really come out and got a lot bigger. So I try to manage the property also. This area right here is common for gopher tortoises. When we go back up to the top of the hill, and this field is what I call the big field, or the top of the hill field. This is right up on top of the property, past the power line. So sometime we'll see as many as 15 deer out here at one time, eating, grazing. They come from the woods in the back.
So what part of Georgia is this considered as far as like the
different It's really the middle, kind of middle Georgia. It's on the fall line. Just south of here we have the Fall Line Freeway. It goes from the coastal plain up to the Piedmont, and we're right on the breaking line, and that's why they call it the Fall Line. Back up where 208 is, which is just north of here, we go into a red soil, and on just right in this area here is a real transition. On the north side of my property, that is pinkish clay, and on this side of this creek, this is all sandy loam. It's all sandy loam. If you dig down, when they were digging the power line post out here, if you dig down about 4 foot, it goes from topsoil to pure sand.
And that's what Butler's known for.
It's known for the sand, because this used to be the beach area. This is where the sand dunes used to be on the beach a long time ago in the Cretaceous period. Anyway, so that's what it's known for.
Hey,
we'll move on around. That's a longleaf pine.
So this is a longleaf pine here. You want to drive up a little closer so we can show it? And Daddy was saying that Mama planted all these through here.
Yeah, she did. She planted all these right here.
That's a good little grove of them. She did a good job.
Yeah, she
did.
Look
how pretty it is. This is why they call it long leaf.
Yeah.
Some people say it should be called long needle, but they call it long leaf.
Yeah, long leaf pine.
Very architectural, isn't it?
Yeah, that, and they're very good about, people like them for their pine straw because of their long.
Yeah, look how pretty the pine straw is. Yeah.
Long leaves and stuff. It kind of tends to last a little bit longer.
And pull up a little bit more and we'll show, is that like some type of yucca?
Yeah, it is. It's a yucca. It's left over from when it used to be a beach here.
So there's the yucca.
Left over from the beach period.
And then I saw some cactus too.
Yeah, we have some cactus here. And there's a few, you can see, few volunteer longleaf pines coming up out there.
Some little baby ones.
They're in the grass stage. They have 2 or 3 different stages, and they're in the grass stage right now.
They take a while because they put down a big taproot.
Yeah, they do.
But then once they get in, they're in.
Yeah. So
yeah, they're tall. Goodness
they'll
gracious.
get tall and everything. Yep.
All right, let's move on.
The gopher turtle.
Gopher turtle.
Yeah, I'll show you the gopher turtle. You can see the sand, the results of the sand here. Here we go.
This is his home.
Yep.
Ooh, he's got a big old hole, doesn't he?
Yep, he's got a big hole. That's the gopher turtle hole. And I don't see any activity right now, but he might be in another place. He's got more than one hole on the property. And that's actually an endangered species. And so
he kind of hangs up here by himself.
Yeah, they
is there 2 or 3 or just 1?
I have probably about 6 or 8 on the property.
Oh, okay.
On the 200 acres. I got about 6 or 8. They're mostly up in this area here. This is the type of environment they like. They're actually carnivores. They eat plants. And when I plant the fire break over here, you'll see a path. In the wintertime, they'll go to the fire break and try to eat the wheat and oats and stuff I plant.
Oh, they said that's yummy.
So that's good. Yeah.
Ooh, that's even a bigger hole. Look at that one.
Yeah, that's another one.
Be neat if he was here.
Yeah.
He might be down in there.
Yeah. No, it looks like a rosebud, but I know it's not. I don't know what kind of fruit that is. It's probably a wild crabapple.
That's neat.
I'm not sure.
It's got little ones on there. Maybe a wild crabapple.
It's like a wild crabapple.
That's neat. There's one behind it too.
Yeah. It's like a wild crabapple.
Probably doesn't keep much fruit on it because the
so dry.
So dry, and then all the birds.
This has been a very good fruit year for stuff to have fruit on it. Been one of the best years we've had in a while. But it doesn't look like my persimmon trees have got as much fruit because different fruit sets in different times, and the persimmons set a whole lot later, not in the early spring. And I don't see any persimmons on this tree here. Normally this tree would be loaded with persimmons, but it tried to set its fruit during the drought. After we had we didn't have a long dry spell, but we had about 4 weeks.
Yeah, we had a couple weeks at our house too.
And it's different than the early.
Riley.
Come on, Bri. She'll come.
You better load it up, girl. She said, "You're in my seat, Nene."
I know it. Anyway, so, but different trees set their fruit different times.
Oh, this one's got persimmons.
Oh yeah, it's got a few persimmons.
Yeah, let's see that. Yeah, it's got persimmons on it.
That's the American persimmon tree. There's male and females also on this has got persimmons now.
Oh yeah.
That's
some of them are getting pinker.
Major staple for deer in the fall. Or what they call soft mass.
And they'll get kind of an orangey color.
Turn orange. Yeah. They're real pungent until after it frosts.
Yeah.
They'll turn your mouth. They have a lot of alkaline in them, and they'll turn your mouth inside outwards.
Mm-hmm.
We're coming up on the power line stand, and we have a lot of deer harvested off this stand here every year. Really, probably this stand and the big field is probably the most productive of all the fields. But opposite this field here, we have the we got a big food plot, and I was looking to see if there's any muscadines in here on this one.
I don't see any muscadines. It's a lot of vines, though.
Yeah, a lot of vines, but I don't see any muscadines this year. Not on that one. But that's the power line stand right there. And we're back at the hayfield again.
Yep, back at the hayfield.
Back at the hayfield.
Power line field.
And so, yeah, power line field. And I oversee this power line after they cut the hay for the last time. I oversee it every year. And we plow another. That's another one of my pear trees that's got fire blight.
Yeah.
But it's got a few pears on it.
Yeah, it does have a few pears.
They managed to, if they're in good shape, they managed to kind of beat the fire blight.
Mm-hmm.
And the deer love the pears.
Mm-hmm.
Now that tree's, I don't think that tree's but about 4 years old, and it's still trying to do good. I have a big brush pile here that I pushed up part of it, and I've got to finish burning it one day this fall. Well, when I plow for the food plot, I'll go ahead and burn it then. And this is part of my area that I keep my fire break all the way around the property.
Mm-hmm.
That way, at least we got some areas that we can try to contain a fire if it gets out on my property, or if it gets out on the neighbor's property. This is where we make our turn right here, and we're going to go by the big oak tree. That's a big old oak right there. Too.
That is a big one.
Mm-hmm. I need to bush hog this trail out. I'll manage to get that sometime.
These are muscadine vines that are growing everywhere.
They grow everywhere.
Woo!
There's a spider
So
web.
there's fields, there's planted pines, there's forest.
We're going down towards the head of the big lake, and I came in.
So this would have been the right hand side or the left hand side when we were pointing from the
It'd be on the left hand side.
Okay.
Left hand side. About 5 years ago, I got tired of going all the way down to the big dam to be able to get around my property. And so I come in here and I built me a road across here. It's got a small little pond behind it. You can see all the stumps and everything.
And I think are there some lily?
Yep, there's some lilies
flowers
out there. Water hyacinths, I think they're called, or there's something like that.
Let's see if I can zoom in on them.
Okay, hold on a second. Can you see them good?
Yeah, the little white flowers
Mm-hmm.
right out there.
Yeah, and so I built this road in here where I could get across from one side of the property to the other, and I could actually, if I wanted to, if I built this up higher, I could actually make another pond here.
Mm-hmm.
But the way it is, if I made another pond here, it would back up on my neighbor's property.
Yeah, they wouldn't like that.
Yeah, and so I could make another dam here and back up water and have more water here. But main thing I'm doing was trying to get me a road.
Mm-hmm.
I want a road to be able to cross over. So you can see back towards the big dam. Only have another food plot out in front of this deer stand here, and this area up here we call the cow pen field, At one time, this whole farm was inside a fence, and they had cows grazing over the whole farm. And anyway, so up here in the left-hand corner, there was a big catch pen. So that's why I end up calling it the cow pen field. We'll go down here and look and see the pear trees I planted down here a good many years back, about 8 years ago, that I planted.
So this is a crabapple tree that he planted.
Mm-hmm. Crabapple tree right there.
Cute little crabapples.
Mm-hmm. The deer really love it. Now this tree right here, real susceptible to fire blight. You can see how the fire blight really has. That's a pear tree, and it was in good shape until this year, and the fire blight just devastated it. Still has big pears on it, and
you think you could do like a rejuvenation prune and then maybe
it might, yeah, it might
systemically.
Right. There's fire blight again.
Yeah.
And what happens a lot of times, depending on the spring, how wet it stays during certain periods, kind of promotes the fire blight.
Mm-hmm.
And then some years you'll have it, and it won't hardly be there. And so, but you can still see it's got fruit on it,
mm-hmm.
all kind of fruit on it. And so, it usually jumps right back out. Doesn't look like this pear tree here is as acceptable to the fire blight.
Maybe this one gets more airflow or something.
Yeah. So I planted all those. They're about 8 years old, and this area here I always put into a food plot here for the deer. You're looking at that stump there, and you'll see them every once in a while where they're cut off real high. If you go through a forest and you see where the stump is real high, it's because it was cut with manual saw, a 2-man saw, and they had 1 man on one side and 1 man on the other side, and they couldn't get down too close to the ground like you can with a chainsaw. And so, because they had to stand up and pull that saw back and forth. A lot of times they actually had to get on their knees even to cut it off that low. And so that's what's the remainder of the old, that's probably a longleaf pine. And a lot of those stumps have been harvested because they have turpentine in them that they use in a lot of different chemical processes. So that's what that old stump, if you go through a forest and see some cut off about 2 foot above the ground, that's what it's caused by. Then what I wanted to show you was this old pine. But this is old pine here. It's I don't know how big it is, how old it is. I would say it's probably at least way over 100 years old, probably 150 and at least. And I've got about 3 more of these old pines on the property. And so it's actually the corner, one of the corners of my property line. And so that's how it stayed here so long. It was kind of like, is it on your property? Is it on my property? And so nobody ever cut it because they couldn't figure out whose property it was
now
on.
It owns itself,
yeah,
doesn't it?
It kind of owns itself. So it's a big old pine. Anyway, so this is on my neighbor's property right here. We're on the edge of it, and my property's right there at it. So, and behind it was actually where it keeps the remains of the catch pen. They had a catch pen back behind it. You can see a few posts back there. And that's where they caught up all the cattle to give them vaccinations and also to take them to market. So a long time ago. Anyway.
Let's go on.
So I come in.
Another little pond.
Yeah. I put a culvert in here You see the water coming out, and that kind of keeps the pond at a certain level. And it's got the lilies on it too. Has the lilies on it.
So what were you saying earlier about it takes a certain type of passion?
Well, it just takes a certain type of passion about owning a piece of property, because tremendous amount of work to go in to try to keep it up, just to keep it somewhat maintained.
Yeah,
not
like the paths.
Yeah, not immaculately maintained, but just keep it somewhat. And it cost. It cost a good bit of money. I know.
It had equipment too.
Yeah. Well, I know with this, I came back in, all the boards had rotted out on this, and it's kind of what I did when I replaced my deck the other year ago. I repurposed my deck boards back on this dock, and they were still somewhat good to retain, but you know, that right there would, if you put all new boards on that dock right there, it probably cost about $600, and it just cost to do anything and to keep everything up.
So that's one of the reasons you got a sawmill too, so because you have so much wood that you have to.
You got so many trees that die every year. You know, they die from. I see one right now, pine. You can see the top of that pine yonder is getting thin.
Yep.
So that tells me that that pine right there is affected by the southern pine beetle. And southern pine beetle. So what I need to do, if you look at it, it's a harvestable tree. It's got a girth probably at the base of it. It's probably over 18 or 20 inches. You can see it through there. And so that tree right there would make, I don't know, 400 or 500 board feet of lumber.
Yeah.
So
we're coming back around, and we just did the full circle.
Yeah. And we, you see the pecan trees that I planted in the last few years. And anyway.
Is that a pecan too?
Yeah, it's pecan.
It's doing the best.
Yeah, it's the oldest.
Oldest.
And so they should start producing pecans in the next few years. I've seen them, one or two little pecan sprouts. So
what are the trees down there called?
Those are catawba trees, and they produce a catawba worm that's good for fishing. The ones along the edges. They actually came, I planted them, they came from Oxford. Those trees are over 20 years old.
Wow.
They came from, when I first moved down here, we planted them. They came from our old farm.
So they just don't get very big then?
They don't get real big. The catawba trees set them back, worms set them back every year. And you can see across the pond, you can see one or two pine trees that have the beetles on them, and I'll have to harvest them this year.
Looks like they've got string beans from these trees.
Yeah, they do. That's the seed pods, and you can take those seed pods and
can you go get one and show it to us?
Yeah, you take those seed pods. I'll get one. See if I can find one that's dry. Let's see. You take these seed pods here. Let me see if I can break it open. We can see the seeds. Having a hard time. Maybe you got one there.
You almost have to get them when they're like real dark brown or black.
Anyway, but the seed pods you can take, they multiply very easily, the catawba worms. I mean, catawba trees do. And one year back when we lived in Oxford, I planted a whole bunch of catawba seeds, and that winter we were a little bit short on money, and Jane sold, there's some of the seeds right there, but they kind of got a little hair on them. Anyway, right there.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And but the hair helps them drift.
Yeah.
From one place to another. But she sold those catawba trees. She sold a bunch of catawba trees and helped pay the bills that winter. This is a sawtooth oak that I have planted that I harvested the seeds from another location. And I've got 2 or 3 oak trees that I've harvested from other locations that
I just had an ant come up and bite me in between my fingers.
Oh, really?
Where'd it come from?
Probably off that seed.
Yeah.
And my daughter told me I needed to add some iron to these trees.
Yes, the ones that are yellow. Yeah. They've got chlorosis.
Yeah. So,
not all of them, though. And you know, it'll be that way. It's pockets of soil.
Really?
They'll be chlorotic, yeah. I think it would do better. So they say to use the chelated iron, the DHEA.
Yeah. But they don't have any pecans on them yet. I hadn't figured out what to do with that one. It ended up coming up with a double trunk.
Oh, it did.
And the problem with that is, I don't know which one is the
leader,
the grafted, or the other. So I'm going to let both of them grow it. They'll probably, when they get bigger, they'll grow together.
What is this one, Dad?
That's a American beauty bush.
Oh,
that's what that is. It have the purple berries on it.
Purple berries.
Yeah.
I remember seeing those in Williamsburg.
Yeah, that's what that is. It's American beauty. I've got some. One of the things I'm proud of is my lantana. Now this one has really done good. This is a bush type yellow lantana, and it's deer resistant. Nice. That's what I like about it.
And drought tolerant.
And then over here I've got a weeping cherry tree.
I know. I was asking Daddy, what's wrong with your tree? And he said the deer keep eating it.
The deer keep keeping it trimmed. I've fertilized it and tried to pamper it.
It looks like it's got a little toupee.
Yeah, I know it. So it should be all hanging down and drooping down, but it's not. So the one of the lantanas that we have that's real proficient here is this confetti. They call it confetti lantana.
It's like a multicolored.
Multicolored, yeah. And so anyway, it's done real well.
Yeah,
it's done real well.
It puts itself everywhere around here.
Yeah. So and it comes up pretty naturally. And we got the deer cropped our hydrangeas.
Yeah.
The other day, and
lovely. These are the macrophylla, so they bloom on old wood.
Right, and
so
then
they're taking everything
one
out.
One of the things that show out every year is our Wandering Jew. It shows out every year to go over the whole sidewalk. And I got my lower pedalum does real good. It does real good, and but you have to keep it trimmed. And then I got the old dwarf nandinas in between there, and they have real pretty color in the fall. So
you did a mixture of like purple, green.
Yeah, put the lantana in. Got the lantana in there and with yellow. And so up here, this year's experiment is I ordered some white lantana. And I've got a white lantana and it's supposed to be a real red lantana. Some of it's redder than others. And back behind it, I've got the lamb's ear, or what did they call it?
Had a different name for it.
Yeah. Anyway,
we'll have to put it on the screen.
Yeah. So Then here, I've got the normal, I got the regular lantana come up. It came up by itself, it's natural. Then the other one I planted, and it's real orange, real orangey. And so I'm looking forward to that really growing. And I'm going to try to pamper it and have a big bed of it next year. Same thing here. I already had the yellow lantana growing. So it's going to be yellow, white, and red. Yellow, white, and red lantana out here. And like I said, the main reason we're doing the lantana is because it's deer resistant. It's deer resistant. They don't like it. We're here to the house. And this is back at Nana's rose garden. I usually try to buy her some different roses every year and try to plant them. And as they get older, I replant roses. That way, if I do it in Valentine's, I give them roses all year long. It's not just one day give them roses, but it gives roses all year long. So this is our coming up on our scuppendine vines. Oh, yeah. I got 2 different kind of scuppendines. This bush here never produces a whole lot, but the other bush right over there, hold on 1 second, it always is a major producer. It really produces a lot of scuppendines. These are the yellow bronze.
So these are the yellow bronze scuppendines, and he was saying these always produce a lot.
Oh, it produces a lot of scuppendines. It'll be loaded. It is loaded. You can see it now. And those have been here since I planted them when I was first got down here over 20 years ago. And then we've got coming out through here. We've got pear trees again. Now this is the, oh man, I'm trying to think. I told you the other night the name of it.
We'll look it up and put it on the screen.
Moonglow?
We'll look it up and put it on the screen.
Okay, I think it's Moonglow. Anyway, it always produces good. Now this is a Chiha.
Oh, it's got little tiny ones on it.
Yeah, this is a natural, this is a native apple to Georgia. The Chiha is. Anyway, and so I've got 2 Chiha trees, and they make jelly out of them.
Okay.
Make jelly, and it's a pretty good fruit. These are all the pear trees. Most of these are oriental pears, and the oriental pears usually start getting soft in late September.
Okay. And
so they're really full. These trees, the Moonglow tree is the most fire blight tolerant. Now these trees here are more fire blight tolerant than the ones I had out in the pasture.
Okay. So they don't get fire blight as much.
As much. They do get it sometime. This one right here got it last year.
Yeah, I got pretty bad.
And it killed off one side of it, which is unusual for it to do that. But so I've got a lot of pears this year.
And you see how the deer keep them pruned up?
Oh yeah.
And Bradley.
Deer and my dog. Yeah. She'll come in here, she'll spot one right about here, and she'll jump up and get her one. I came in this year, and I told my wife I wasn't going to put in another garden until I put up a fence. And so we put up an 8-foot fence around the garden. And so we had a real good productive garden. We had squash, cucumbers, green beans, and
And I've got a video of that, so I'll link it down below.
Yeah. And later on, as stuff starts dwindling down and starts not producing, I wanted to go ahead and get rid of it and pull it all up and repurpose the garden for the rest of the year. So one of the things that was surprising to me is how I planted these flowers, and they have just flourished. They have flourished.
These are zinnias.
Yeah, and they have just really come on strong. And I really didn't do very much to them.
Do you remember what brand they were?
No, I don't.
Just probably got them at Home Depot or Lowe's.
Yes, actually my wife bought them.
Okay.
And gave them to me to plant. She had
and
2 packs.
Hand sewed them.
Yeah, just hand sewed them. I had rototilled all this here with my rototiller, and I just hand sewed them, and they just came up natural. And I planted watermelons right beside them, and so the watermelon vines kind of kept some of the weeds out of them because the watermelons was running in there with them. And so they have really...
Well, you know how some people will put netting in between their zinnias to keep them standing upright?
Mm-hmm.
It's like you just using the watermelon vines as a frog to hold them up.
Right. Yep, exactly. And then I've got some miscellaneous things there, some peas, and
what's all the little new little shoots?
Okay, now this, I just planted this Monday. I planted this last Monday. Today is Saturday. Come right here from this view.
Yeah, let me see if I can get inside the fence so it will show it really good.
It looks like little soldiers.
It does.
It looks like soldiers growing out there. Those are butter peas. Those are butter peas. And then the rest of the all the way over to the sweet potatoes are regular peas. They're zipper peas. They're zipper peas. And so
and then all the little tall shoots over there are the sweet potatoes.
Sweet potatoes.
So what happened to your first crop of sweet potatoes?
My first crop of sweet potatoes, the rabbits got them.
The rabbits got them?
Yep. And so I ended up coming in and putting chicken wire around my deer fence.
Right here.
To perform another barrier. To perform another barrier. To try to keep everything out. And my goal is to keep this garden tilled enough until the foliage from the sweet potatoes and the foliage from the peas will knock down any aggressive pest, weeds, or grass and stuff like that. That's my goal is. So I'm trying to fill it in and get it all filled in where it would cover over, gives a good shade, and that keeps everything out.
And this is where your 15 dump truck loads of mulch went to, right?
Yes.
Compost and mulch?
Yes, that's where it went to.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, so we're going to end our video here of the tour of Cedar Lake Farm. So I hope you enjoyed it, and we hope you have a chance to get in your garden today. Bye, friends.
Bye-bye.